Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Freaky Fast Broadcasting on your Thursday night. It's the Stars and Stripes Racing Series. Getting prepared for race number 14, the penultimate race of the regular season, the old school 200 at North Wilkesboro. It's the second to last race before this regular season is done, and drivers know tonight is crunch time. If you're trying to set yourself up with points and making sure that you're not out, and making sure you're in the top 12 of points before next week, the wild card race at Talladega, before the regular season is done. My name is Sam Dyer. Joining me up the booth is going to be Zach Hall, Robert Moyer Jr. Marine Productions in the background. Zach, tonight, the race of North Wilkesboro short tracks. It's been kind of the sore tooth, you could say, of the Stars and Stripes Racing Series, where it can be difficult at times to have some long green flag runs, but tonight, I'm a really big unknown of what is this car going to bring.
I am very interested to see what goes down tonight here at North Wilkesboro. I mean, 200 laps, that's going to be a long distance race here for these drivers. They're going to have to be patient here to start this race off, Sam. They definitely can't be patient right now as they're qualifying. That's where you got to get the most out of this race car to hopefully put yourself up front to where maybe you won't be caught up in the mix of stuff, because this track's so tricky. We've seen it with other leagues before. This place can get very clogged up and jammed up when traffic or when wrecks start to happen in the middle of traffic.
And we know a few drivers that are usually quick at when we come to short track racing. Watch out for Thomas Ogle, Scott, that of Joshua Robinson. They're going to be fast ones. Scott Rickard as well has been quick, but surprisingly taking the pole right now, held by the 7 of Kyle McCoy. But how long will that be held? The drivers have ran here only once in the past at Stars and Stripes. The pole award was grabbed by Dylan Grimm. We'll see if Dylan Grimm can put down a fast time for himself as well. A lot of drivers wait until the very last moment. They've got 5 minutes in total, and they've already used up 2 minutes. We got less than 3 minutes to finish out qualifying. They got 2 laps to put down their fastest time. Let's see Zach Kreitz out on track, put for his first lap here this evening.
See what type of speed he can find as someone's trying to top the time of Kyle McCoy. Nobody's found the speed yet, and McCoy, the winner from Martinsville, Sam. Not surprised to see him once again showing again. Short tracks have been his strength so far in this Gen 4 Cup car, and right now atop the board is Kreitz will come around to complete his second lap, and we'll see where it's going to place him. Is 19.21 for the first lap, but a 18.72, so that picks up a lot and goes straight to the top of the board even.
Top of the board for the 46, who's hoping maybe he can grab a win here tonight to lock himself into the playoffs. We've had 8 different winners this season, 2 of which have won 3 times. 1 has won twice, and the rest have won just once. Those drivers that have won 3 times got to be June Whitetom and as well as Diego Valle. They've been fast, quick, but hoping to join the mix of 2-time winners. Ross Tatum's already there, but it could be Thomas Ogle. No, can be quick to watch out for. Ryan Lynch in the 31, Cookout Machine, hoping for some speed. First lap going to be 12th fastest on the board. How much more can be gained here on lap number 2?
Seems like some drivers picking up on that lap too, so we'll see if Ryan Lynch is one of those drivers in that same boat here, Sam. As we're combining across the start-finish line, and it looks like that time not going to count for him here. So it looks like already, it looks like either invalidated that lap time with an incident, or it was an extra lap done by him.
And June White, extra speedy, we know can get it done with the pole currently by the 09. And surprisingly, June White, short tracks has been the weakness for this machine, finding that extra speed here late. As we see that of the 8 machine, Jason Grad, second time, across the line. Where will the 8 machine be? 11th on the board after that first lap. Second lap, not going to be any better. We'll stay 11th currently. But here's the top dogs. 3 drivers, any one of them can top the board. Thomas Ogle, Joshua Robinson, and Dylan Grimm going to be out on track currently. They're trying to beat the time of a 18.716. As Dylan Grimm's first lap going to be 12th fastest for himself. Thomas Ogle, Joshua Robinson going to be starting their first lap as we watch the 11. What can Ogle put down? Again, this is only his first lap time that he's placing for himself. Will be a quick one, or is he saving some juice for later on? And it's 8th place in a spin for the 11. 8th is as quick as he can go. Grimm missing out on his second pull here. He'll be second. And now it's all down to the 30 machine. What can Joshua Robinson put down as he exits turn number 4? The 30 knows how to steal it late in qualifying, and across the line, 13th was his first lap, placing him, and it looks like invalidated for a second. He'll stay 13th. June White stealing your pole here at North Wilkesboro for the old school 200. I think that might be the shocker of the night. Not expecting to see June White be a fast driver here this evening, and instead takes the pole. Well, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining with us again on your Thursday evening for the Stars and Stripes Racing Series, race number 14. Practice qualifying, it's in the books. Let's take a look at where our qualifying results are. As the 09 and June White's going to take the pole award. Dylan Grimm going to be starting in second. Zach Kreitz in third. Kyle McCoy in fourth with Scott Rickard fifth. Sixth goes to Kyle Bowling. Chris Worrell going to be in seventh. Ross Tatum, two-time winner, going to be in eighth. Ninth goes to Thomas Ogle and Christian Loshin, fastest during practice. Didn't have the qualifying pace. We'll see what the three can put down here as he'll start 10th.
Starting in 11th, it's going to be the winner from Homestead, the 99 of James Lowe. Alongside him in 12th, it'll be Trey Jackson. 13th is going to be Joshua Robinson. Couldn't get that second lap to validate. 14th is going to go to Jason Gratton. 15th position is going to be Brian Lynch with Nate Lynch starting alongside him in 16th. 17th is going to be the 4 of Aaron Hill. 18th is going to be Ryan Lynch in the 31 machine there as he couldn't get both his lap times in. 19th is going to be George Kovacic. And rounding out our 20-car field here tonight at North Wilkesboro, it's Brian Burchett.
As 20 drivers going to be entering here tonight, how many will survive after tonight? After last week's race at Richmond, only one caution during that race, but that one caution really did change up how the race was going to be finished as Diego Valle found himself into victory lane. I know, Zach, I missed out on being in the booth for that race, but Diego's kind of steal over that of Joshua Robinson last week. Curious on who else might be a thief of the night here at North Wilkesboro.
We very well could see those same issues play out. It was during a pit sequence that you normally don't see green flag runs during Richmond. You know, that's something most of the time we usually get a yellow flag before they run out a full tank of fuel. But we had some great racing there, but unfortunately it was right in the middle of those pit stops, and it really hurt a lot of drivers who were up front. And Diego Valle definitely took advantage of that, but the speed he had late in the race was definitely what was able to control this. As, like you said, I think the biggest surprise so far from qualifying, though, tonight at least, is that 09 June White. I look back to a season ago, Sam, this driver was having a tough time even completing the lap here in North Wilkesboro. I mean, he literally had to alt F4. And what we mean by that, folks, is he literally left the session immediately as he wrecked to try to not bring out a yellow, because I know he wasn't trying to be a factor in that race. So, you know, we'll see the progression he's made through a full season here to get these short tracks down, because he's going to need this when we do get to those playoffs.
It really is, in every little bit of points, positioning is going to be great to have, and track position, how can the drivers stay up front? Zach Kreitz hoping that he can get into victory lane, that 46. Surprise on his qualifying run, does not want to have his fate to be decided at Talladega for a third season in a row. It might have to be, as the base car's about to pull into pit road. It's time for us to run 200 laps, no stage break, no fast repairs, 5 extra sets of tires in pit road, and we are green at North Wilkesboro for the old school 200, and it's going to be side by side. Dylan Grimm, June White as they exit out of turn number 2.
Side by side, Grimm though going to have the top side. That's going to be preferred groove here to put the power down as they head into 3, though this bottom groove is very, very strong. But I think with Grimm a nose ahead here, he's going to lead the first lap and maybe take control when we head down into 1. And now Kyle McCoy here going to try to take advantage of the 09.
Kyle McCoy trying to put the pressure on for second place. He'll linger back in line, but it's side by side for everyone else, and a little bit of slip up as Chris Worrell finds himself into the grass, but it stays out of trouble, keeps it straight, but losing too much ground. Over 12 positions for the 6th machine. Everyone else staying side by side for that of 5th on back.
Kreitz under major threat here. He's got the 44 of Bowling trying to roll the top. Also the 21 of Ross Tatum there. That was a huge checkup, almost caused a little bit of a contact with everybody. Great heads-up job there of lifting, because we've seen you get in the back of the bumper of somebody with that front end of these cars all throughout the season. It has been a big problem if someone's into the inside wall in the front straightaway, guys. I think that was Nate Lynch.
Nate Lynch going to be majorly slow for himself. The rest of the field's going to continue to race on as no drivers, but it's completely sideways on track with oncoming traffic, so we stay green. As Chris Worrell, once again, a big slide for the 6. He is continuing to struggle here tonight for that 6th machine in the rookie. Other drivers, though, trying to move forward. Dylan Grimm just got himself inside of the top 12 in points, now leading the way up front. Kyle McCoy in 2nd. June White falling back to 3rd. But everyone else taking it easy. Top going to be 12 drivers staying up front, but from 13th on back, it's there's been a jostle of drivers falling back because of major slides and slip-ups that have scared the field, as we see Christian Loschen, Scott Rickard, Thomas Ogle jammed up and nowhere really to go.
Nowhere to go for these drivers right now is that outside line is a little bit loose there for the 3 machine as he's trying to jump down to the bottom lane. Right now it's the fight for the bottom lane, but that top lane can also work too. That's what makes the racing here so good at North Wilkesboro, is the ability to run 2 different grooves. And right now Thomas Ogle trying to make up for those mistakes in qualifying, Sam, and roll that top groove as the 3 gets loose. That's going to open up the door for the 11.
And loose sensation, center of the quarter off, has been a big trouble even during practice. Drivers were trying to figure out really the limit that you can take these vehicles. And currently, I think some drivers are starting to feel that limit once again, even during race pace. 8 laps in the book. And these drivers have been able to stay clean and green, but for how long is another slide going to be happening for the 44 off the exit of turn 4? Quick moments going to be happening here tonight on who's going to be bouncing forward, backwards, but up front, it's the 7 of Cal McCoy trying to make a push on Dylan Grimm for the lead as the 7 machine trying to get himself back into victory lane. Cal McCoy known for late in the season pushes to go set up for a playoff push.
That he is. He's known as that guy that's got that clutch factor, as we love to say, is right now he's trying to figure out how to get to this lead position. And no surprise here, seeing him run once again a good short track. I think, at Martinsville, I was harping on the fact that he's usually not a short track guy. I mean, from previous history, it's not been his greatest tracks in these flatter short tracks. But, man, he has really been very talented when it comes to adapting to this Gen 4 car when it comes to these tracks. And I think it's actually suited him better than some of the mile-and-a-halfs have, surprisingly.
It really has. Good to see that 7 machine having the run that he's had so far and trying to continue with this pace. Dylan Grimm comes into tonight, though, in an interesting predicament. He is currently 12th in points. There was going to be a challenge to watch out for if Andrew Hess had shown up here tonight on where the points battle was going to lie between those 2 drivers. As Kyle McCoy, huge slide for himself, even showing drivers up front are starting to feel that sensation of the tires going away. But Dylan Grimm, he's in a position where he needs to get as many points as possible. But if he wins here tonight, he won't have to worry about points going into next week, because whoever's 12th in points going into Talladega is in a tough spot, because one of the drivers that's outside of the top 12, if they win, they're going to find themselves in the playoffs.
They are, and that's a huge opportunity for a lot of drivers out there. Is Grimm, I mean, classically, he's shown last season, sitting on the pole here, that he's got a ton of speed. He led a ton of laps here, so I'm no surprised to see him out front. As right now, Ross Tatum a little bit under threat, as Thomas Ogle's trying to continue his march forward here, as they're both putting the pressure on the 46 of Kreitz here also.
Zach Rice trying to hold position. He's already lost 2 positions, same for June White. Ton out of Ross Tatum. Thomas Ogle, though, on the other foot. They've moved up 2 positions, trying to move as a pairing throughout this field and gain every spot possible. And Zach, I know we weren't able to broadcast it, but a lot on WSSR. They've ran here already. Same car at North Wilkesboro. I know there wasn't a lot of green flag racing going on, but what could you say these drivers are starting to feel as we're 16 laps into this run?
The big thing, Sam, in my opinion, as the run goes on, it gets a little bit easier to put the power down as the tires begin to heat up. As Kreitz there kind of retracting my statement there, because he's definitely loose off the exit. But that's mostly what you deal with. These cars do not like to turn into the corner. They're just very low downforce. We're going already low speed, so it's mostly just relying on the front tires to make most things happen. And it just doesn't want to turn to the car, so you usually have a bunch of wheel in it. And then when you have all that horsepower, you got the wheel turned into the race car with a flat racetrack like this. It's so hard to put the power down. And that's what these drivers are dealing with, is really just modulating the throttle, but also not getting the front tires too worked up, because that'll make the rear traction worse also, because the car's just not turning as well.
Well, as the drivers are side by side in front of him, it's Cowboy and June White. Ross Tatum's getting a great show right now, and I'm curious on how these drivers are feeling inside of the vehicle as this battle continues on. White stuck on that outer groove, but still holding steady. Main reason why the 44 just isn't able to get back in the throttle and feel confident to do so without a major wiggle every time they start to take off. 20 laps in the book of 200, yet no stage break. So these drivers known at the Stars and Stripes for doing so. We could go clean and green all the way or have minimal cautions. Last time they were here last season had 5 cautions in total, but they were not this spread out like they were last season.
They really weren't, and right now it's definitely getting very spread out. And at some point we will get some traffic. With 20 cars here tonight, it's not the most traffic when it comes to worry for the leaders, but they definitely will at some point catch on to that traffic, because I think George Kovacic right now, last car on the lead lap, is about 3 to 4 seconds ahead of our leaders right now. As this battle continues on, as White has just been just good enough to hold on to that position, is now even Kyle McCoy up front going for the lead on the inside of our leader.
Trying for round number 2, but it's not going to happen. Ryan Lynch in the 31 going to spin out and immediately trying to do a little bit of a June White from last season. Altel Ford immediately after the spin, and we'll call it a night for the 31, leaving us with just 19 drivers out on track for our first caution of the day. And this is going to be one of those interesting predicaments for the field. We ran the 23 green flag laps. Do you take the attempt to come into pit road? You got 5 sets of tires to work with. Hey, might as well use one of them now. Or is track position too critical, as they're about to be making their decision at this current moment? Who comes into pit road? Who doesn't? Front runners aren't thinking about it. Everyone in the back. It's going to be from Ross Tatum on back, thinking about coming into pit road.
We'll see how much these tires do matter here, Sam. I mean, the lap times I'm looking at right now, I mean, these drivers fell off about 3 tenths off their fastest times. Some of them 3 to 4 tenths off. So there will be some difference. And when you have that big of a speed difference on drivers at a short track, it looks a lot bigger than what it would normally at an intermediate. So we'll see how they work their way through. But, I looked at someone like Ross Tatum, who did win the WSSR race here. Now, that race was caution riddled and full of yellows that definitely made the strategy something interesting. But I know he employed a strategy similar to this, where he pit early and kind of just stayed out from there.
Yeah, and if we this race turns into kind of a caution-filled race with these faster drivers now in the back. They're going to have to go through some of these slower machines. Braking points are going to be different. Could be seeing incidences start to balloon out and have a lot more cautions coming out. But for Dylan Grimm, Kyle McCoy up front is where they feel the most comfortable, and they're going to stay there until they think about making a pit stop later on. I know they're going to pit at least one time here tonight. The question is, when do you want to make that pit stop, or do you make multiple? Like I said, 5 sets of tires in pit road this evening to work with, and for about half the field, they have decided to use their first of 5. Welcome to Thursday night on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. You're watching the Stars and Stripes Racing Series, as it's a pleasure to be covering these drivers on Thursday. We got other series that you also can check out on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday as well. ISRC Truck Series on Monday night. You got Full Send Racing Series and the Xfinity Car on Tuesday. And if you enjoy watching these Gen 4 machines, Wednesday night as well. WSSR, they are in the middle of their playoffs. We got to check that out. As the Old School 200 is back underway, Dylan Grimm as well as Kyle McCoy continue to stay side by side through turns 1 and 2.
Let's see if Kyle McCoy has anything for him here on this outer groove. He was just to the inside when the yellow came out looking to get the lead. Does he have the superior grip here on this restart? That's going to be the huge question as he goes way up the hill. That's going to allow Grimm here to clear. But I think the 7's going to fight back, and he's going to not let him clear, and he's going to turn him.
Goes around his Dylan Grimm into the side wall, and that contact between leaders brings out our second caution of the day. And this is known with the Gen 4 Cup car. If you give a bad bump, you can lift those rear tires or just spin someone out. And that's exactly what happened right there.
It exactly was. And it's such an unfortunate racing ordeal there because, Grimm is clear. He's coming up the racetrack as he clears the 7, knowing that he's clear. And he's just trying to get up there to cover off the run that the 7's having. But with how big a run the 7 had, he couldn't get checked up in time. Runs in the back of the 23, and unfortunately for Grimm, it's going to be the case of having to go to the back of the field now and work his way back up through.
Well, from an opportunity of being up front, I think for Dylan Grimm, we'll check and see if he decides to come into pit road, maybe get some 4 tires and fuel instead. I think he's going to just stay out there on track. Second caution of the day. But how is tonight going to evolve? Like we said, there's a chance that this race could balloon out with drivers on fresh tires going up against older tires. Ross Tatum was able to make his way forward up now to 9th place. He's almost where he was right before he had to come into pit road. So this 21 already showing advancement on the tires, passing by 2 other machines.
Huge net gain, in my opinion, for him. Fresh tires, already back up to where he pitted when he got the tires. That is a huge ordeal for him. And again, if we keep getting these little tacky yellows like this, at some point, these other drivers are going to, want to pit thinking they need tires. and he's going to cycle to the lead possibly. So love again the strategy being employed by the 21 team.
As Kyle McCoy going to be your front runner, and as we're under our second caution of the day, I want to give a huge shout out to the amazing sponsors that help out the Stars and Stripes Racing series, that being ButtKicker. Feel what you've been missing, as ButtKicker is a great place to go if you'd like to get yourself any type of object moving instead of just hearing their sounds. It's an object that you connect to your seat or racing rig. It allows you to feel instead of just hear the sounds, as well as a huge shout out to Next Level Racing, getting yourself racing rigs as well. As it looks like we're going to be getting ourselves prepared to the 1 to go marker. Zach, certainly the field is in a place where they got to be thinking, okay, how are we going to set up for this next restart? What do you think the mentality is for some of these drivers that are stuck in the middle, that are around those that have fresh rubber?
Ooh, this is when you're that first driver on that line of drivers not on the fresh tires and you got the fresh tires behind you, it always makes you nervous, and you got to just watch the mirror. You got to be very aware of not only what's going on around in front of you, because you can't run to the back of the person in front of you, but you got to be aware of what's going on in the mirror. This restart could get a little wild here.
Pace car into pit road, and now it's going to be Kyle McCoy up front, pulling away. Great launch for himself. June White not able to follow in suit, and the rest of the field trying to make it through turns 1 and 2. The 7 completely clear and gone. And ultimate goal, pull away, and don't hope that you don't see the 21 at any point. Extremely wide, those 0-5, as Scott Rickard taking a very odd line for himself.
Up the racetrack, and I mean, we look at Richmond, he utilized that really high groove there. Will he be the first to try something like that? Is now June White. Remember, he's teammates at Dylan Graham. He's attempting something interesting here. Look at him running the upper groove. This is going to be fun to watch and see if these lines like this will work at all.
Trying advanced maneuvers to try to get some extra speed on the straightaways, and right now it looks to be working for June White up front, but Thomas Ogle, Ross Tatum, fresh tires, boxed in, and not a lot of places to really utilize their fresh rubber, as they've got a wall of drivers, being the 3 of Lochston, the 8 of Grattan, holding back really any type of speed at that of the 11 and the 21 half as well. Chris Worrell trying to come back as 3 wide, thinking maybe it's the 11. Couldn't get to the outside quarter panel of Grattan. He'll have to just settle for getting by the 3.
That he will. The 6 is trying to recover, of course, for himself. So Chris Worrell he's had a tough start to that race with getting loose twice. As now Ross Tatum's going to jump up in front of him. These drivers on new tires. Ogle leads the way. We'll see what he can do as he's marching around the outside now. He'll have Grattan, of course, on his sight line.
Just take any advantage you can, utilize the tires to their fullest, and you'll just be marching forward ever so slightly. Thomas Ogle finally able to get to the inside of the 8 machine. It just looks like the drivers of fresh rubber. They can really go anywhere they want, and they can advance forward. It's how patient can he be? Can he protect these tires for the longer run? Or is there a place where we'll start to see a plateau? We'll have to watch and see how that changes throughout tonight, as we are 39 laps in of 200. The battle for the lead starting to heat up, as June White was making moves to take the outside lane of Kyle McCoy, but gets too loose. The aggression of the entry for the 09 seems to be backfiring now, as he's losing a lot of the rear end now.
It definitely looks to be getting a little loose. I think it works well in 1 and 2, just not very good in 3 and 4. I think you need to be closer to that curb. That's where the grip is. It seems like in 3 and 4, but historically is now the 99 and low up the racetrack. This is going to allow Thomas Ogle to get to the inside. As you can see, the 99 of low and the cool throwback scheme there.
Tonight was the old school 200. Some drivers running some old school throwback schemes, some deciding not to. Another driver also running is Scott Rickard with the good wrench throwback scheme of, I believe that was Kevin Harvick was running that type of a scheme for himself. 41 laps in, about to start of lap 42. Stars and Stripes certainly are trying to find where they can feel the most comfortable, but the field in line, and this is when you can get a little bit, you could say irritable, you could say, or impatient, when you're in line, with the driver in front of you. Just one small mistake could cause you to run into the driver ahead. This is when that patience has to show for the field, and bank on someone making a big enough mistake for you to have an opening to attack, but not a mistake for you to get caught up in it.
It really is all about that. Is right now some of the hardest battling going on is right now around those fresh tires. Thomas Ogle, he's worked his way up to the 4th position now, getting past Kyle Bowen. Looks like Ross Tatum is looking to follow him through for that 5th position. It's really stacked up. Even Chris Worrell, he changed tires on that stop too. He's took advantage of it, and he's starting to march his way back up here and get some of his track position back after that tough start to the race for him.
The train of fresh rubber taking the inside row, and they are moving as one. The 11, the 21, and the 6 machine, all trying to advance forward. And the question is, at what point will they take the lead? It's a when and not an if at this position of the race. And these drivers all recognizing, hey, last week at Richmond, we had a caution that kind of changed up the whole entire factor of the race. Could that first caution and potential only caution of the race really change up how tonight's race goes down? Because if you've got fresh rubber at this point and this race continues to go green, everyone else that didn't pit, they are in such a sitting duck position where they really have nowhere to go but go backwards.
Completely agree, Sam. And the thing about this is we came in here with 5 sets of tires tonight, 4 in pit road. That means these drivers who have taken tires already have 3 sets sitting in their box still. We only need 1 pit stop to make the rest of this race. You just need 1 stop around lap 100, and you'll easily make it 100 laps here. You can make it really upwards almost of 150 laps. So these guys right here very soon, if they were to pit, if a caution comes out, would be pretty much good to the end of this race, especially if they got plenty of yellow flags. But if it goes green here, Sam, it's going to be interesting to see how far those new tires can get up ahead, and they have plenty of tires left with 3 in the pit stall still.
As the battle for the lead, Kyle McCoy, also June White, working the outside lane, but it's for nothing. Thomas Ogle, driver that led the most laps here last season and won the race, finally able to get the point, his car to the point, taking the lead position. And the 11 machine, clean air, with a slight wiggle off the exit of the corner, but Thomas Ogle is back to where he feels the most comfortable.
Great job there. Great call, first off, putting the tires on. Had the mistake in qualifying that put him so far back. Got the fresh tires and now has the advantage and the track position to go along with it. Watch for this 11, the flourish here once he gets out in the lead. But we'll say he's brought Ross Tatum with him and Chris Worrell not too far behind, racing with Gene White. There's 3 really fast cars right there pulling through his field with new tires.
That's the thing with caution flags when they come out. It gives opportunities for drivers that maybe were struggling to get a second chance to fight back. And Chris Worrell really struggled in those first 20 laps of this race. Had his couple of self spins, was caught up in someone else running into the 6 machine, and now a chance to be inside of the top 5 and fight for some good positioning. It's working out great for the 6 as he's trying to make the pass for 3rd position. Everyone else trying to follow in suit. The next drivers after Chris Worrell makes this pass on Kyle McCoy to watch out for: Zach Kreitz, Joshua Robinson, and Dylan Grimm. Taking it very easy. They are not putting a lot of aggression on making these passes immediate. So you kind of have been trapped at times, not able to advance. I'm curious on what their tire is going to look like as we continue on in this run. If they can make these passes cleanly and more efficiently, let's start to run down our top 3.
They really could, and Dylan Grimm the freshest of tires of all of them because he was the driver involved in that last wreck. So he came down on that pit stop instead of the previous one like the other drivers did. So a little bit fresher, not only a few laps difference there for those tires, but Grimm going to be looking to come through his Rickers, holding on to it, Sam.
And he stays off the wall. I don't know how he did that. That is almost an immediate into the inside pit wall. And the 05 able to continue to race on. That's going to hurt his tires moving forward. But what a save by Scott Rickard.
What a save for sure. That was amazing. He was looking head first at the barrier. And that's a concrete wall, folks. That doesn't have any soft wall or retaining wall in it. That thing would have destroyed that car. Great job by Rickard. That right there saved his race possibly, because that could have been suspension damage and that could have been night over.
That's going to be easy positions for these drivers now. Advance forward in for Kreitz as well as Robinson, Grimm. They now set their sights on the next victim, going to be June White and Kyle McCoy, before they can try to tackle and go after Thomas Ogle, Ross Tatum, Chris Worrell. That huge slide. Other drivers having some issues. Further on back is Nate Lynch, as here's some other throwback schemes, as it's the Rainbow Warrior Jeff Gordon throwback of Brian Lynch in the 24, as he runs in 14th currently.
Great looking scheme there as he's closing up to that 3 machine of Christian Lawson, who a little bit of a mowing of the grass. He's going to lose some speed. This is going to give Lynch possibly a chance, but he's going to side better of it here, as this group's about 5 seconds back off of our leader of Thomas Ogle, who is now, along with Ross Tatum and Chris Worrell, just opening gaps up with those fresher tires. You can see here Aaron Hill the 4. Looks to be struggling a good bit here tonight, Sam.
Same for that as well. Going to be Brian Burchett and George Kosick as we lose another driver, and it's another Lynch. It's going to be Nate Lynch who pulls it into pit road and has called it a night. Just left with Brian out there on track, which is kind of a rarity. With this 24 trying to go for one of his best runs so far. As Joshua Robinson up to 5th, trying to run down Kyle McCoy after getting by June White. And the lead driver of the new group of 3 that are trying to move forward of Dylan Grimm, Kreitz, and Robinson himself.
And right here, Grimm making the great rebound, of course, as he's following Robinson through the field. And I mean, this is excellent. But someone for like Zach Kreitz, he's kind of got stuck behind this group, unfortunately. And he's lost a little bit of time here to Robinson and Grimm as he's still trying to work his way around the likes of June White and Kyle Bowling. So Kreitz losing a little time to this front group here.
As you're right on board with the 8 machine of Jason Grattan. Getting a good shot at James Lowe. Lowe is someone we have not talked about so far here tonight. 62 laps in, 99. Usually the driver we talk about that's inside of the top 10, up inside of our top 5 majority of the time, and kind of just running his own race. Staying in the middle of the field. That's not a bad place to be. Jason Grattan, on the other hand, his sights are set on to next week. Talladega. Zach, the storylines that track has built up here at Stars and Stripes. Always the last race of the regular season. Curious on how that's going to move forward as we're seeing the 05 trying to make a pass here, riding on the back now of the 8. Jason Grattan getting a good shot of the pass trying to be made by Scott Rickard, as Rickard at 05 is not comfortable currently. Zach, he is sliding a lot on the inside groove.
He really is, but I got to give him a huge amount of credit, Sam. I mean, this guy almost really had his night in quickly, and he's not too far behind the likes of June White, the likes of, you know, Kyle Bowling, who he was literally racing with right before all that happened. So he did a good job to catch right back up to this group. And of the old tires, I mean, that's literally them right there in front of him. Other than Kyle McCoy, really everybody else in the old tires have been falling back quickly.
You got to give credit to those that have been kind of holding off that group and allowing the Zoba to get back in the mix on top of just raw speed that he's showing currently, as we are 67 laps in the book. Going to be here tonight of 200. Still plenty of racing action for this field, as Thomas Ogle leads the way and has been one of the fastest drivers up front. The clean air has been impressive for himself to have, but once they got into spacing, Joshua Robinson, Dylan Grimm, they might be 3 seconds back, 3.5 seconds. Those 2 drivers have some good speed to watch out for. As you saw June White doing his very excessive high sweeping corners through 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, just trying to maximize his straightaway speed.
He really is trying to maximize that speed, using every bit of real estate there in 1 and 2, but back to the bottom for the 09 machine is now he'll have the 99 of James Lowe right behind him, looking to take advantage of this 09. But all these drivers right here on even tires, so this is just a straight up race between this group. But it's right now of who's saved the best of them, as Boland's been able to get around the 09. I think the 09 right now is struggling a little bit with tire wear, but I'll say huge improvement from last season, Sam. The 09 June White showing the improvement in short tracks. That's exactly what he needs to do.
Yeah, I mean, small little advancements are always going to be good to have, especially because it's a learning process for June White. June White was already locked into the playoffs with all the wins that he grabbed, so why not learn at the short tracks? He's learned how to qualify now well after getting the pole here tonight. Next race that he's got to worry about, going to be heading to Rockingham to start the playoffs off, as well as New Hampshire, going to be at round number 2. And that's going to be the last couple of road courses this season that the 09's going to have to worry about. So trying to learn any little bit that he can. And tonight's been a good lesson for June White. As James Lowe trying to make the pass here for 9th position. 99 just not able to do so. And instead, Scott Rickard, he is right on the back bumper and aiming to try to make a pass on these 2.
He really is. Scott Rickard is going for the recovery drive of a lifetime because, again, I mean, it was almost over in a blink of an eye. And right now, just showing how good he is on the long run here at North Wilkesboro. This 05 starting to march through, but it's Grattan who tried to make the pass to the inside. He's hard into the inside wall. He keeps it straight after hitting that inside wall. We're going to stay green here, Sam.
You stay green. Some other drivers also getting a little bit frisky as well, as they are getting mixy. As James Lowe trying to make the pass on the inside of the 09. Kyle McCoy has been under pressure as well from the likes of that of Dylan Grimm and others. As Kyle Bowling as well as Kreitz able to make the pass over the 7 machine and able to make these passes work. We're 75 laps in the books as we're starting to see, I think, a little bit of tire wear showing out on drivers that maybe were able to save their rubber, and now we're able to push here later on as half the field did not come into pit road under our first yellow about 20 laps into the race. And so they are now dealing with 76 lap old tires as our front 6 are dealing with about 50 lap old tires, except for Dylan Grimm, who's rolling with 45 lap old tires.
The thing about this is if you're Kyle Bowling right now being in that 7th position, first guy on old tires, that's got to feel great. That's got to be some confidence building for him that he drove through the drivers that are on the same tires as him. That makes him definitely feel a little bit of confidence, I think, when it comes to that long run, especially with pace. He's still throwing up. I mean, he's running just as fast as drivers up ahead of him. He's actually running Kreitz down. So 44 Bowling, if he gets on the same set of tires as other people, he could be one to watch out for late in this race. But Grimm and Robinson have been the ones really taking the chunks of time out of guys.
They certainly have, as Dylan Grimm, 23 machine, got spun out on our second caution after Kyle McCoy trying to make a move and just the front bumper, rear bumper contact, spinning out the 23 from the lead position, now up to 5th. And he had to restart all the way back in 9th place on that restart, and he's moved up to 5th. It's been a great charge for that 23 machine.
It really has, and he's right now lost some time to Robinson in the overall scheme of things, but at the same time, done such a good job of rebound from what was happening to him before leading this race. Got turned by the 7 of McCoy, and right now, what a rebound for him. Like I said, is Robinson's putting the pressure on Worrell here, man. I'm telling you what, if Robinson can get around Worrell here pretty quickly, he has an opportunity, I think, to run down Ross Tatum and Thomas Oaken.
He certainly does, and for our leader, he's going to be thinking about lap traffic here, and most likely the next 10 to 20 laps from here on out is see Thomas Ogle, a little bit of lap traffic in front to Brian Burchett and others of Aaron Hill he's got to worry about before there's even a bigger group. That's around 9 seconds ahead of the 11. That's going to be, I think, a lot more of a concern for Thomas Ogle. But when he catches up just to one driver, he's expecting them to get out of the way, but lap cars do have the ability to hold their line, try to stay on the lead lap, and it looks like seeing that from Brian Burchett. He's not just laying over quickly, he's willing to fight, but we know that he's going to move to the side here at any moment. It looks like this is the corner where he'll do so into the middle lane, but Thomas Ogle not able to make the passes, allowing Ross Tatum to gain just a little bit on the lead battle.
Just watching the delta between the top two, it dropped multiple tenths there, just being side by side with that lap car now of Brian Burchett. He'll be the first car lap down back in 17th, as he's going to get easily out of the way of Ross Tatum. And that's the thing about being the leader sometimes, Sam, is it's usually your job to open up the window to come through, because these drivers are trying to stay on that lead lap. It's a big difference between getting the lucky dog and staying on the tail end of the lead lap, as it looks like in the background Burchett was in the wall there. That's going to stack him back into that field. But yeah, it's definitely tough sometimes when you catch this traffic, is they're always going to fight the leader a little bit harder than second and third place.
Yeah, and I think also it can be maybe awareness also. Sometimes you don't expect the leader to catch up to you as quickly as they do, and they can really just throw you off at times. As we're seeing the battle going on for third place, Chris Worrell, Josh Robinson, Dylan Grimm on top of one another. The 6 trying to hold back the 30 machine. He's done a great job so far, just not allowing Joshua Robinson to get close enough to put any pressure on, but it is put the pressure on Joshua Robinson because Grimm is now here. Grimm's been one of the fastest drivers of anyone on track recently, so watch out for this 23. That slight advantage on tires. It's maybe just 1 or 2 laps of green flag racing on the rubber, but it's working out great for Dylan Grimm.
And that's the one thing I love about this Gen 4 car. We talk about tire advantages and disadvantages all the time, and you know, the multiple series of the Xfinity, the trucks, the next gen Cup Series car. A lot of times those tire disadvantages and advantages aren't the biggest of things. You know, it's a lot of times just about aero and track position. This car, though, 1 to 2 laps green can mean the biggest of a world of difference, and it can really show up. So Grimm, like you said, just with that 1 to 2 laps might just be finding that little bit of extra rubber right now, as the 30 still hands full with the 6 trying to get around him. The 6 has just been perfect getting off the corner, and that's not allowed the 30 an opportunity yet.
Making the moves work currently. Well, as we are 89, about to be 90 laps in the book, we're going to get ourselves prepared for our first commercial break of the evening as drivers expecting to see how this race is going to turn out moving forward. You're watching the Stars and Stripes Racing Series as the drivers are running the old school 200 at North Wilkesboro. Thank you for being with us on your Thursday night. We will be back right after this.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series in officially licensed cars engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Can't defend. He's got the outside line for the second part, and he can't hold on.
Going the long way around. We're going to be 3 wide for the lead as they all come to the line. Who is going to take it in the end?
And here comes Lockwood. He's going to make the move to the outside. Quinn tries to force him off a little bit, but there he goes. It's going to be side by side through turn 1.
Will he be able to cover him off? He does. Weaving back to the left-hand side. Reynolds is trying everything. The kitchen sink is being thrown at it.
They're leaning on each other. Coming into turn number 3. It's going to be a drag race through 3 and 4. Coming back to the line. Here comes Frisch on the bottom. Bouchard's going to hold the inside. Tries to be the late breaker here. They're going to be side by side through the final chicane. They bang doors, but keep it clean.
As that's still 4 wide on the run down into the back straightaway. Demerit's looking for a line as well. What is going on in Michigan?
Novak into the fence. They're still beating and banging.
Oh
and to the line.
He is much faster coming through there. Is there damage on Challenger? Abramitis is ahead. There's going to be a race to the line. Who is going to get it?
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Stars and Stripes Racing Series. Drivers were just starting a green flag cycle, and then a yellow flag strikes with Kyle McCoy spinning out after getting fresh rubber, and it's going to be costing a few drivers to stay 1 lap down. It's out of George Kosick, Kyle McCoy himself, Christian Loshton, as well as Brian Burchett. Going to be stuck 1 lap down. Trying to take the wave around, though. Going to be a handful of drivers doing so, of Trey Jackson, June White, and Dylan Grimm. Going to be taking the wave around to get themselves back on the lead lap, but they'll be restarting at the tail end of the line as we just are about to crest over to the halfway of tonight's race. Okay, lucking out kind of on that incident. Ross Tatum, Thomas Ogle going to be your front 2 as pit stops were underway. Ross Tatum able to make the pass under pit road, and Zach, these pit stops are difficult to get into here at North Wilkesboro.
They are, Sam. They're way different than your normal pit boxes. You know, NASCAR with their modernization of themselves made pit boxes a lot more, not only easily seen of where the pit box is with the slabs and the paint on them, but they're much bigger and they are much more accessible. This pit road, very old. I mean, it's to the tried and true version of this track from 1987. I mean, it is a very dangerous pit road, small pit boxes, and luckily this is virtual because I think you'd have a lot of people running into some pit crew members on a small pit road like that.
As drivers are getting themselves stacked up and ready to take off, as a group of around 6 to 8 drivers going to be taking the wave around, or about to be grabbing the tail end of our leaders. As the pace car lights are off, we're going this time around, as it's Ross Tatum going to be your lead driver with Thomas Ogle, Joshua Robinson, Chris Whirl, Zach Reitz, your top 5, as we're back to green flag action for the old school 200. Ross Tatum having the lead. Ogle's got to fight back, but what speed does Joshua Robinson have for that 30 machine?
He looked great there, just got held up by the 6 before, now fighting on the top side, and he's going to be able to almost pull alongside his teammate Thomas Ogle, but if he can get a good drive off, he could have an opportunity to clear the 6 a whirl, and it looks like he almost is going to as they head down to one whirl, throwing it into the inside, trying to fight for that bottom groove.
These fresh tires, dangerous to handle, as it's about 10 laps they've got to run, 10 to about 15, green flag racing before you've got a good handle on the rear ends as the heat's finally built up. And it's going to be your top 5 already, going to be feeling pretty confident for themselves. Scott Rickard back in 6th, another wild card and dark horse to watch out for here on this run. But for June White, going to be Dylan Grimm. They are deep in the field as they were not able to advance in position. It took them a while to catch to the end of the line, and they are currently 7.5 seconds back for Grimm, and for June White, over 6.5 seconds off our leader.
It was the worst timing possible with that yellow for them guys. I mean, luckily for them, they were able to take the wave there, Sam, and continue on the lead lap. But for someone for like June White, I mean, he's got 6 lap order tires, and even Dylan Grimm, who had pitted 2 laps before that yellow had come out. So it's a huge disadvantage when it comes to White there for tires. But then you look at someone like Kyle McCoy. I mean, he stayed 1 lap down there after all that. So like, it's just tough to see when the yellow comes out under those pit sequences, as it was Kyle McCoy spinning, of course, to bring the yellow out. But as they come out in those pit sequences, they can catch a lot of people off and get them stuck a lap down, such as even Christian Walsh.
Lawson, as well as George Kovacic, 1 lap down with Burchett. We've lost 2 drivers here tonight, going to be Nate Lynch and Ryan Lynch. They both got caught up in incidences and just called it a night after being involved with a wreck. So instead of having 20 drivers racing here this evening, we're down to just 18 that run on track, as the 09 trying to set up how to get by Brian Burchett, as well as Dylan Grimm, just going to take that position for the 23. And they'll be on the attack to try to move forward for every little position, but they got to get past the 2 lap cars before they can run down to the lead pack.
Oh man, our leader Ross Tatum had a big moment in 1 and 2, gives up the lead to Thomas Ogle as it just stepped out on entry for Ross, and he's going to be kicking himself for that because he's showing the pace to keep up with Ogle, but losing that track position is going to make it tough to get back around him before this is all over, said and done with.
And Zach, I mean, you've ran in these cars on Wednesday night for the WSSR. The heat in these vehicles, it's hard to really deal with the heat in these cars when you have a slide like that.
It is. And once you heat the tires up one time, you have to go into conserve mode. You cannot slide, because that 1 slide more will compound into a 2nd slide, a 3rd, a 4th, and then it just exponentially grows. The tire temperature just skyrockets, and it feels like you're almost driving on ice, almost like they buttered up the racetrack and just squeezed it up like you're about to cook on it. I mean, it's literally amazing how much grip can go away when the tires overheat, and it's just that chemical reaction between the heat and the rubber to the racing surface, causing that super loss of grip there.
As we are 112 laps in the book, about to be 113 started. We got ourselves 11 drivers that are pretty close on top of one another. Thomas Ogle going to be in first, leading the way, trying to get himself back into victory lane for another time this season. Ross Tatum, you see on screen, 21, trying to get his 3rd win of the season to be tied with the likes of Diego Valle and June White. But in 3rd, Joshua Robinson, I think this 30 machine, trying to make a statement that he is a driver to watch out for. As we drop back to our Season 2 champion, Scott Rickard, as the 05 has not been able to advance as well as I was expecting him to do so here with his competition around him.
I somewhat agree, but at the same time, I feel like the 05, the 44 Kyle Bowling, those 2 looked so strong as the run went. So I look for that. You know, if Bowling here can really hold on to this track position and we get a long run here, this 44 may be a problem for some of these guys up farther ahead. I mean, he just can't lose too much time. Right now, about 1.6 seconds off of our leader, so only about 2 seconds already lost for the 44. That's definitely time he can still make up with the amount of time left in the race. It's just been his strength is that long run. He just needs it to stay green now.
I feel like that's kind of been the story of the season. You can saving fuel, don't want to give up too much time. Saving tires, you don't want to give up too much time. That equal balance of saving but not losing, it seems to be really the tail, and that's what's been the strength for Diego Valle and Joe. They've won 6 races in total combined with the two of them on how they've been able to find that equal balance. But this grouping are just finding themselves being 2 seconds off our leader of Thomas Ogle. They still in a fighting, close enough battle to come back.
I really think that's the thing that the best drivers do the most proficient, Sam, is they have the ability not only to get the best fuel efficiency out there by, you know, changing their inputs on the race car and how they use their tools inside that race car, but also their efficiency of using the rubber on these race cars. You go lap to lap using, you know, different increments of how much you want to push this race car. Not every time we go into a lap are we saying we're going the fastest possible, because if you did that, you would be out there struggling 20-30 laps into the run. You got to have that little bit of reserve back in your back pocket, but you can't also just drop the anchor. So it's one of those things where I think the best drivers are able to be efficient and keep speed in their race car, but also not overwork their tires and not overuse their fuel.
And speaking of what the best drivers are doing out here, well, a lot of other series that we cover throughout the Freaky Fast broadcasting from Monday through Thursday. We've got a lot of great racing action to give you cover as Brian Burchett stays high to let everyone go on by. We also have 3 other series. Monday night, it's the ISRC Truck Series. You do not want to miss out. They're in the middle of their playoffs, as on Monday night, it's the start of the round of 8. We got our last 8 drivers. We started with 16. We're down to cutting it in half, as Rockingham will be the start of that round before they go to Iowa the week after to finish out who will run for a championship for their season 5. Then on Tuesday, the Full Send Racing Series, since they're going to be having their round of 13 at Talladega. Wildcard race on who could steal a playoff position. It's going to be critical to see what the Xfinity cars have on Tuesday night. And Wednesday next week, cutoff race for the round of 10. We're cutting down to just 6 drivers that will run for a championship, and it's Richmond, the cutoff race for those drivers. Next week, Zach, going to be critical for some of these leagues. 2 of them of our 4 are in the playoffs, while the other 2 are setting up for their playoff push.
It is definitely a fun time right now, Sam, as they would say as a commentator not only, but myself as a driver being involved in 2 of those series. So it's always my favorite time when you get to the playoffs. Everything means more. The drama kicks up more. There's more on the line. That's what really, I think, makes the racing just that much better. When it's just a normal race, oh no, Joshua Robinson on the front straightaway, guys. He goes around. That's going to be a caution actually there.
Caution as the 31 sits, point the nose to pit road, and we will have our 4th caution of the day with just that of 75 laps to go. When we go back to green, it's going to be less than 70. And Robinson, who was running in our top 3, well, no more. Trying to set up a pass on Ross Tatum, and it backfires quickly with a simple slide, a brush to the inside wall. And 30, he'll have to work his way through traffic and do kind of what Dylan Grimm had to do earlier. And a critical time in the race. Drivers have already used 2 of their 4 sets. Who's going to use maybe their 3rd set that they've got in pit road?
I think from what they've seen earlier in the race, you got to go use a set now. It's just too big of a time difference, and you will lose out in the grand scheme of things if it stays green. And you never know when it's going to go green here. It starts to stretch. I mean, you could have 120 laps all the way to the end of this thing, or you could have it just like it's going to be possibly now, where we could have a 70-lap run green, or we could have a bunch of cautions. I mean, there's really no way to say what's going to be the right call right now, but I think it had to, because just the tire difference was going to be too big. Let's say Robinson didn't come down, but I think he'll be coming this time by Sim.
Yeah, I think the main thing for Robinson, he was just too far back. If he went into pit road, he was most likely going to go a lap down. So instead of that worry, It'll hit pit road and get service now. It's still going to go to the end of the line. Another driver that is going to be going with a wave around to try to get back onto the lead lap, but I think also might be getting the lucky dog, is Kyle McCoy in the 7, who's in a interesting spot for himself as Thomas Ogle going to take back the lead position with Chris Worrell, Kyle Bowling, Scott Rickard, and Zach Kreitz going to be in 5th. Ross Tatum staying in pit road for extended time to 21, falling from up front all the way down to 8th place for himself.
Definitely an extended amount of time there. I mean, looking at his box time, it was 18.2. So definitely issues on the 21 side of the camp there. I don't know if maybe he slid through the box or not, but definitely doesn't like he slid through the box. Maybe just some repair there. I don't know. I didn't like he had damage or nothing, but man, that's tough for Ross Tatum, who now going to be back around that 7th position. That's it's track position, man. That's what it's all about, and how close everybody is here in speed. Giving up just those 3-4 positions could be the difference between a top 5 or a win.
As our front runner is going to be Thomas Ogle, Chris Worrell, as well as Kyle Bowling, Scott Rickard, Zach Kreitz going to be your top 5. James Lowe in 6th. 7th is Ross Tatum, with Jason Gratton in 8th. 9th is Aaron Hill, and Ryan Lynch going to be inside of your top 10. Coming into pit road, also going to be on the lead lap, but at the tail end of the line with the lucky dog pick, it's going to be Kyle McCoy. We'll see how the 7 can rebound back into this race as the drivers that are taking the wave around are finally able to try to take off and catch up to the end of the line. We're stacked side by side. Thank you again for joining with us on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. We give you 4 broadcasts a week. Monday night, ISRC Truck Series. Tuesdays, the Full Send Racing Series. Wednesday, WSSR versus Gems Cup Series and the Gen 4 machines. And as well, here Thursday nights, you're watching the Stars and Stripes. Back to green flag action for the Old School 200. It's the penultimate race of the regular season. Next week's the last race of the regular season on 12 drivers that will start to race for the championship. But who will win here this evening? Thomas Ogle trying to become the only driver that can win here at this track. He won last season here at North Wilkesboro, trying to do the same and win in a different vehicle. It was ARCA car last season, Gen 4 this season. The extra horsepower not stopping the 11 machine, who pulls away from Chris Worrell.
Looking strong right now is that 11, as he said, open up the gap to the 6 of Worrell, who his race is turned upside down after what his race started like, having a great run now. But Scott Rickard working that outer groove alongside his teammate as Ross Tatum's going around, guys, and he's wrecking.
In the middle of the field, and everyone able to scatter around the 21. Luckily not collecting anyone else, and it was just a simple too much speed on entry, not enough heat in the tires, and the 21 went ice skating in the center of 1 and 2.
And right there, I wonder if maybe just a little bit of, pushing just to try to get back what he lost on pit road, Sam. And this track with its transitions can be very tricky. I mean, he got very, very low on the entry of the corner, and when that does that, it unloads that race car, and that thing just stepped around on him in the middle of 1 and 2. So huge loss of not only more track position for the Ross Tatum, but now he's going to have to try to recover from this with not as much time as he's going to want to be left for himself, as these guys are going to stay, out here after they've just pitted, Sam. And again, that not only that thing right there of Ross Tatum could have been the transition of the racetrack, but also the cold tires we've seen tonight. That's been a big issue tonight, getting into the corner for the guys.
Well, we will step away for a second time here tonight as these drivers, again, not expected to hit pit road. Taking the wave around is the 33, but we're watching the Stars and Stripes for race number 14 of the season, the Old School 200 at North Wilkesboro. Thank you for joining with us. We will step away when we come back. More racing from the short track in North Wilkesboro. And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, for the Stars and Stripes Old School 200 at North Wilkesboro. Pace car making the hard left-hander to pit road as we are green for Thomas Ogle, Chris Worrell, Kyle Bullen, and Scott Ricker's going to stay side by side as we go down into turn number 1. Drivers on slightly more used tires, but that heating factor and the heating cycle under pacing, how is this going to influence the run as Chris Worrell almost giving the bumper to the 11 machine?
Oh man, he's getting feisty right now. He wants a win, Sam. He's been close multiple times this season. And yeah, he's locked into the playoffs in points, but no better way to lock yourself in with the win that gives you the confidence heading into the playoffs. Worrell on a mission, but bowling up the third. Watch out for the 44.
I mean, you're talking about the 6 and how close and how many times he's been there. He's finished second twice this season at Richmond last week and then at Nashville Super Speedway earlier in the season. He then got a third place finish at Daytona to start the season off. So this 6 has shown promise, but it's been the inconsistency at times when we get later in the runs on how he starts to fade away. Right now, second place currently. But is it too far back to even try to go for a move as we still have ourselves a quarter of the race still to go? It's Thomas Ogle still leading the charge. There was one driver that decided to take tires under this pacing. That was the 3 of Christian Lushin, but he's got a lot of work to do if he wants to start moving forward. And other drivers that are also on the charge to move forward. Dylan Grimm, he's been able to recover up to 7th place as we see the battle going on for 3rd position.
Second recovery for Dylan Grimm too, man. I mean, up to 7th after getting trapped back, having to be on older tires and take a wave around. That was a heck of a job from him so far after his spin early in the race for the contact with Kyle McCoy, who McCoy also, we got to say, he's back on the lead lap too. So a lot of drivers here now all back on the lead lap who are all on the racetrack. Everybody's got a shot at this thing.
Zach and be set up for how the end of this run is going to set up for themselves. Could we see another yellow blossom out? We've seen a couple of pretty decent long green flag runs. It could happen again if we get a long green flag run to the end of this race. Thomas Ogle is looking pretty set up for a great run. But he's got to keep his eyes out on that 44 as well as the 05. They've been strong on the long run. Zach's been pointing it out. Scott Rickard, Kyle Bullen, they are the drivers. Watch out in about 30 to 40 laps. That last little stint of 15 laps, they could be climbing through this field quickly.
They really could be. And if they can hold on to this track position, I think they're in a prime position to go up here and fight for a win, possibly for both of them. So can't get too overworked up right now. They're opening up a gap with James Lowe behind them. They cannot race each other too hard. These two teammates need to be smart, because if they let Ogle and Worrell just open up the gap here, letting themselves battle, they're going to have a tough time running them down back later. But here we go. Lowe under threat. Jason Grattan trying to make up the ground and maybe get a top 5 in for himself.
Jason Grattan trying to go for his second top 5 finish of the season, and what a move to get by James Lowe, but he's got to be careful, kind of giving an opening now for Dylan Grimm to get below that 99 machine. As Lowe stays high, it's going to be the 23 Dylan Grimm taking the position, moving up to 6th place, but Jason Grattan, what a run he's having here tonight. Again, in one of those drivers that's too far back points-wise to try to point his way into the playoffs. He's going to be thinking about next week at Talladega to win in your in situation to make a run for the playoffs, but still a great performance. Got the best finish so far this season for Grattan. Was 4th place at Bristol. He's trying to best that or equalize it as he's got to run down some fast drivers in 4th place, being Scott Rickard.
Good tonight at North Wilkesboro is that 8th machine, but yeah, he's got a tough task to run down that 05 or that 44 up ahead of him, but don't put it past the 8 machine. Jason Grattan has done amazing things in the past. Has been a driver that's made the Final Four in the past in the playoffs. So just really a really good underdog driver. If you want to root for one out there, is definitely Jason Grattan, because you never know when he's going to be a threat to get a victory.
It's been great to see, especially last season. It was the end of the season where it really started to show his confidence in the ARC car. It seems like he's starting to figure out this Gen 4 machine, that extra horsepower, keeping it underneath them. But drivers behind starting to put on a show as the battle for 7th as well as the battle for 9th. They're starting to heat up. Between James Lowe, June White, as well as Josh Robinson, Kyle McCoy, Zach Kreitz, they are all on top of one another. It is getting, oh no, contact, June White into Lowe. Lowe slips, slides, and holds on. Even with the body slam, the 99 continues to keep it straight.
A big contact between those two, and personally, at first glance, I was like, man, White just got in there and kind of got into the door of the 99, but the 99 did aggressively come down the racetrack too. I think that was kind of two drivers going for the same real estate as the 99. Was not allowed to finish. Ross Tatum, another snap over steer for him. It's been turn 1 and 2's problems all night for him.
Almost causing these drivers to go 3 wide. They're actually going to be a stack 3 wide. Zach Kreitz going to be hard on the throttle, pushing up the 99. Low is just a ping pong, and it continues to get worse. Going to be lifted up into the outside wall, but they keep it straight as we stay green. This final quarter of the race, Joan White's has gone upside down. Went from challenging instead of the top 10, now to 16th place. Oh, you hate to see that for the rookie who's had such a great recovery here tonight. He's been patient, quiet, but instead he's rewarded with being beaten, battered, and bruised at the end of the night.
That he is, and man, oh man, lost some time. And if that wall wasn't there, we would have had a yellow flag, folks, because there was no way they were going to keep that straight at the wall, keeping everything together, but not keeping the car together for that 99 who's going to be dealing with a lot of damages. Right now, the battle's still happening around that 7th position. Joshua Robinson trying to take it from June White here. Is in the middle of 3 and 4. Or sorry, going down in here into 3 and 4. This 30 has been trying everything to get around the 09.
It might have to be maybe some more body slams. This has been probably the most aggressive we've seen anyone this season. This is something that we see a lot of our other series that we keep on praising about of, hey, that slight over-aggression, looking like rivalries and, making stock car racing moves. You got fenders, might as well use them. This league is known for kind of giving space, and if you're faster, why not take that spot? Maybe I'll put a block here or there. But that was probably the most aggressive we've seen anyone this season.
It really was. That was some wild moments there in the mid-pack of the field as these drivers try to all recover from their mishaps here from earlier in this race, such as Kyle McCoy and June White, who hit there and got that caution to come out that trapped them. Not only Kyle McCoy out there, but had to make June White take that wave. And still a good recovery for June White, because again, short track's just not his style racetrack. He's done a great job tonight. As now his teammate Grimm putting the pressure on Jason Gratton for a top 5. Grimm has just been one of the funnest drivers to watch though.
Grimm having his spotty moments as he actually is going to lose some time with Gratton, trying to get around that 23. And Grimm has been having some blinking issues here tonight. It's been every about 10 to 20 minutes he finds himself blinking away. Luckily, didn't get caught up in a mess with the gate, but I'm certainly scared. Both drivers over the radio trying to let each other know, hey, didn't mean to do that. Luckily, we're still running. Let's keep the charge. As Kyle Bowling, Scott Rickard, they're closing on the 6 machine of Chris Worrell, and Worrell right now being the safety valve that is keeping Thomas Ogle where he's at and pulling away.
This is the second time this has happened. Chris Worrell did this to Joshua Robinson and, held back him and Grimm very well when they ran him down from so far back. Just showing the 6 is able to really, once he gets in position and he hits his marks, he's able to get a good enough run off the corner that it really just stifles anything they got going on behind him. And right now, Bowling's searching all over the racetrack trying to find the grip, but it's just not there, Sam, up top. And that's what the 6 is doing a good job of. He's just covering off the bottom.
He's covering out the bottom, and that's where Kyle Bowling wants to go. That's where he's been all night long and protecting his tires. And with this searching aspect of the 44, trying to go anywhere he can to find that extra speed, it's actually going to be hurting the 44 in the long run, where we've talked about him being the strongest. This could be giving Scott Rickard, if they can make this pass efficiently and within the next 5 laps, it could give him a chance to go run down Thomas Ogle. But again, if you don't make this pass sooner or later, Thomas Ogle's going to be too far ahead unless you get a caution flag.
Completely agree, because not only do you have to catch him, you got to pass him. So you need time. Laps happen quick here, folks. I mean, this is a small little racetrack. It's just over a half a mile. They're turning 19-second laps here. 5-10 laps can go by so quickly. You've got to make things happen fast, and that's why short track racing you usually see Pete and Megan going on, because you can't get held up too long. But right now, the 44 playing nice. But at some point, he might have to get those elbows out, Sam, if he wants to go around the 6, because he's just being too perfect on exit to not, to allow them to get the opportunity.
I mean, if you want an estimate on time, there's a rough estimate this race could take. They stay green around 10 minutes from here on out. So drivers know, hey, you give up another couple of laps. That's more time that you're just not able to come back from. They continue to race aggressively. Again, that is second, third, fourth on top of one another. And other drivers that maybe you're getting a little bit frisky around one another, but could be a spot of an incident happening. That's the battle going on for 7th place. June White is still holding back as well. Joshua Robinson, Kyle McCoy, as well as Loschin. Those groups of 3 or 4 drivers not able to advance in any positions.
And they can't. The June White's just been somewhat similar to Chris Worrell here. He's just been running the bottom and doing exactly what he needs to do to hold these guys off. And Drew Robinson, he's going to be kicking himself because he was to the inside of that 09 at one point, just couldn't make the inside lane work. The 09, you can see, just taking a very wide sweeping arc, covering off every single lane. If you want to go to my outside, well, I've made the wide arc, I can cover it off. And if you want to go to the bottom, I can jump down there also as the 30, searching for the grip Sam. And that's a good run there down the back straightaway here. The 30 might have found something.
I mean, he might have found something, but he's just too far back. He gives up so much time on the entry for going for that wide arc. It's just he can't stay steady, and then he loses it all off the exit of 4 because he just doesn't have the momentum. Sends it down into turn 1. Give it another try. How much momentum can this 30 mount up as he shifts it off the back stretch? And that's probably his best run he's had so far. And he'll try the same move through 3 and 4. A little bit more risky trying to make this move through 3 and 4. As you can see, just gives up too much time being side by side.
Completely agree. I think that 3 and 4, you need to run the bottom. You need to stick to that because right here, 1 and 2, it does have opportunities. And he almost had the opportunity to go to the inside there. He just kind of backed out of that situation, Robinson. Kind of not willing to, risk potential contact as the 30 was looking to possibly find the way. Here he goes again up to the top. Let's see if he can make it work. But he got way too close to the wall there, I think.
That is getting as close as you can to that outside wall, and he's going to try it again. At this point, Josh Robinson is playing with fire, and at some point he's going to get burned. But that's his best launch that he was going to have, but then snaps loose late, and he just continues to work it. I mean, at this point, if you know you're stuck, why not just try something dramatic? And he's going to brush the wall, trying to do an old little tricky spot of brush the outside wall and then ship it. The running in wall riding is a faster way to go around, but you got to commit if you're going to go for a wall ride.
You really got to commit, that's for sure, and keep it wide open and keep that momentum up against it. But looks like right now I lost a good bit of time with just trying something different there in 3 and 4. And I like what he was doing in 1 and 2 personally. It was working. It was a good run. But every time he goes up higher in 3 and 4, you just give up way too much time on entry. I think if he just switches to running the bottom of 3 and 4 and runs the top of 1 and 2, he might have an opportunity to make something happen. He's just going to have to make a late aggressive dive bomb.
And all that just messing around on the outside. How much of his tires have been given up as well. As we were having fun watching all that madness, Jason Gratton has lost position to Dylan Grimm, who now slots himself in 5th. Cal Bowling now is going to fall back to 4th, and the switch for 2nd. Scott Rickard has been able to make the pass for 2nd place, but he's over 2 seconds back. He's got a lot of time and ground to make up, but for Thomas Ogle, he's having a little bit of a fear because he's dealing with lap traffic that's giving up time once again, and those 2 seconds that he once had as a gap, it's down to a 1.5 seconds.
And if that dwindles quicker and quicker here, if you get some more traffic, that very well could play into the hands of Scott Rickard, who definitely looks a little bit faster right now. I will say for Ogle, I don't think he's going to catch traffic. Right now, George Kovacic about 12.5 seconds behind the leader, running 1968, which our leader last time, 1968, so matched lap times with our leader. But the big problem for Ogle, though, is Scott Rickard was about 2 tenths quicker that last time by.
And Brian Burchett introduced pit road, so no longer going to be a factor for that Scott Rickard. He's got clean and green traffic in front. Only driver he's got to catch up to is the 11 in 1st place. In the last 3 laps, ever since Scott Rickard has been able to make the move to 2nd place, he has been gaining time and continues to do so. But again, we were touching on it when there was just 30, 40 laps to go. There was time to make up. But at this point, when you're less than 20 laps to go, you can maybe catch that Thomas Ogle. But to pass him, you might only have just about 5 to 3 laps of a window to make that move.
Well, I tell you what, Sam, he's doing this thing, though. He is running him down right now, 1949 to a 1963 up front. That is enough speed, in my opinion. If he can continue this trend of, a 1.5 tenths, 2 tenths, he has an opportunity to go up here and fight for this win. He just can't have any major mistake that allows him to give up time. And we'll see again here what his gain is, like about similar again gains.
It's now down to almost a 1 second difference when he crosses the line and continues each corner, every lap. coming up to 15 laps to go. Is a 1 second difference enough space for Thomas Ogle to defend? And once Scott Ricker gets to that rear bumper, does he know where to place that car? Because we haven't really seen Thomas Ogle have to be in a defensive mode. He's just taken the lead and pulled away. This is going to be one of the first chances that he's going to have to show off defensive moves without really any practice throughout this race.
And I tell you what, he's making some mistakes. He caught the grass off the exit of 2 last time by, lost a good chunk of time. He did drop his lap time down there a good portion, a couple hundredths of a second, but it was exactly about a 10th of a second difference between the top 2 the last time by. Scott Ricker has the time, has the speed, but as he closes in, this is going to get tougher and tougher.
And as well, with the laps ticking away, the more rubber that is starting to drift away for other drivers. We're starting to get to that zone where we're seeing other drivers maybe having some slip-ups. They were trying to hold on. A couple of those that were up front were making mistakes around this time as we've been 60 laps on this set of tires. But it's going to be Thomas Ogle. Oh, now less than a second, almost down to a half a second. It's just a little bit over on for Thomas Ogle. Dylan Grimm also trying to make some moves for 3rd place as Chris World continues to just hold back the rest of the field. This 6 is a machine at holding the field, but Grimm finally has an opportunity to dive it down low, trying to go for the pass here for 3rd.
What a job by Grimm there to get to the inside, and now I think it's going to be able to make this pass unless he gets tight right there. That's going to be the key. Can he keep the power down here at the exit? Because if the 6 clears him, that's going to be trouble. And he does get back clear of the 23, but the 23 dives it in there and sells it back to the inside.
And trying to push up the 6, make a mistake, and there's the mistake. Slight slip up by Chris Worrell. It's not going to be just a nose ahead for the 23 on the inside turn 3. Kyle Bowling's trying to follow in suit and just take any little bit of an advantage here. If you can get to that inside, that of Kyle Bowling might be able to take the advantage, but Grimm not able to get back in the throttle, and there's his mistake in the center of 3 and 4.
Looks like Grimm is making a mistake. Also, Sam was just being too shallow on entry. And right now, Grattan taking advantage of this here. He's going to roll the outside as this is heating up. We're getting our battle for the lead about to happen.
9 laps to go, soon to be 8, and they are getting frisky. Grimm's going to have a slight mistake. Grattan's not going to be able to go on the outside, and now we'll move up to 4th place, tying his best finish so far this season, trying to get by that 23. But for the lead, Scott Rickard at one moment was 2 seconds back. He's now down to just 2 tenths back from Thomas Ogle. 8 laps to go. We touched on it. He can catch up to the 11, but how much time is he going to have to try to make the pass? He needs to get slightly closer. And will we see the bumper? Scott Rickard's not known for, making what quote-unquote dirty moves of giving a bumper to the driver in front. But would tonight be a slight difference in mind since both drivers are locked into the playoffs?
It very well could be. And I'll tell you one thing. He might not give the bumper, Sam, but he is a very aggressive driver. He will take opportunities. He'll take risks. Look for him to do something spectacular here if he doesn't get the opportunity he wants. He's going to try something here in a moment. He's gotten to him, but he's had the trouble once he's gotten to him here of just trying to put the power down. He just got to settle down here a little bit and hope for a mistake like that. Ogle, big mistake, and now it's going to close the 05 right to the back bumper.
Closes right to the back bumper, but you got to get a better launch. That's been the trouble for the 05. And a good one off the exit of turn 2, right to the back quarter panel. But do you go to the outside? Do you try to force the inside groove? Trying to go with an early apex, set up the launch off the exit of turn 4. Rickard is here. 4 laps to go for the 11. Can he hold off the Season 2 champ who's trying to get more wins and get himself in a position to fight with the momentum into the playoffs? As we're coming up to 3 laps to go, this battle's still there, but Rickard needs to set up this pass here shortly to give him a chance for a pass. Otherwise, he's just going to have just one chance on the white flag.
That he will possibly is right here coming off of turn number 2. He's been a little bit of a struggle there to stay close, and again, Ogle opens up the gap, but down here in 3 and 4, this is where Rickard's been better. Ogle up the racetrack, Rickard down near the bottom, just finding the grip. Only 2 laps to go. Scott Rickard has an opportunity, but can Ogle hold him off to get a second victory here at North Wilkesboro?
Rickard's going to go with a little bit more of a wider apex, 3, 1, and 2, and he just loses time off the exit. He's not getting that momentum that he was hoping to have, and it's allowing Thomas Ogle to move away off the backstretch, and now it's your freaky fast white flag. Thomas Ogle just has to defend one more chance by Scott Rickard. Rickard needs the best exit at turn 2. Slight wiggle. He's a little bit too far back. The dive bomb by the 05, not close enough. He tries to get the better exit, but Thomas Ogle will get the win here for the Old School 200. And the battle for that of third place goes to Chris Whirl, and fourth goes to Jason Grattan.
And oh man, they were wrecking across the line as everybody was trying to make sure they held on to their spots. And Grattan going to hold on the fourth, Brim fifth, Bowling sixth. But Whirl, I mean, he pretty much built a wall for them as he was able to really hold off a lot of those guys. But Rickard and Ogle putting on quite the show up front. But again, the mental fortitude from this 11, man, to win another race here at North Wilkesboro, just showing how strong this guy is.
I think also he's got to maybe tip and give a thanks to Chris Whirl, because if Whirl had given up maybe 5 laps sooner, had maybe gave Kyle Bowling a chance sooner, it could have been a different story on who was in victory lane here tonight. But the cards fall in the hands of the 11. Thomas Ogle is back into victory lane here this season. Congratulations to that 11 machine. We will be back right after this. We'll talk to our top 3, Thomas Ogle, Scott Rickard, and Chris Whirl, here for our post-race show in a few moments. We'll be back right after this. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the post-race show for the Stars and Stripes Racing Series for the Old School 200 at North Wilkesboro. Let's head down to Victory Lane to see how that of the 11 is feeling after tonight. Thomas, you get yourself into Victory Lane. You are the only driver to find yourself in Victory Lane here at this track. Man, how are you feeling after tonight's run?
That was a tough one. It was kind of easy, but then Scott chopped, oh my goodness, did he chop that down? And I just decided, I started driving a little bit more erratically and getting off my line when I saw him closing down. And I finally just resigned myself to the fact that if he was going to get me, he was going to have to go around the top. So I just kind of hugged the bottom, and the white flag was pretty welcome to see. Trust me, he was fast.
He definitely was going fast there, Tom. But I tell you, you're able to hold on to it, man. Get your second win here at North Wilkesboro. And first off, congrats on that. But
Thank you.
take us through the night of strategy, because you were, one of those drivers that first elected to come down in that very first caution and be aggressive with the tires. How important do you think that was to your race?
Well, that was a game changer because I was kind of mired back in. I wrecked on my second lap of qualifying, and I had kind of thrown away my first lap, so I already knew I had a big hill to climb, and Ross was in front of me, and I had kind of been running with him, and he went down pit road, and I'm like, I guess I'll give it a try. We had plenty of tires, so I just decided to give it a shot, and then I went to the high side and got around a bunch of cars, and that was kind of the game changer. That one move sort of set up the rest of the race for me.
It was a fabulous move for yourself, Tom, and congratulations on this win. And before we send you out, any final shout-outs before tonight's done?
Just to my teammates, Josh and Brian Lynch, guys that put on the league. Ross Tatum, he ran a really good race. He was probably the fastest car. He got loose one time into one, but that was really the only mistake, and I don't think I would have gotten him. But he ran a good race. Really, everybody raced really clean. It was a really fun race. Just shout out to you guys also for thanks for you putting the league on, doing the broadcast.
Well, thank you for putting on such a great show here tonight. Congratulations on your win, and good luck at Talladega next week.
No, thanks. Have a good week.
Certainly should be.
Yeah, don't expect. I probably won't be talking to you guys at all next week with my luck at Talladega.
Hey, who knows? Good luck, Tom.
Thank you. You too.
As we go from victory lane, let's go down to second place where we can talk to Scott Rickard and get his thoughts on how tonight raced. Scott, you almost were able to run down the 11. You got to the back bumper, but that was it. What else did you feel like you needed to get the win here tonight?
I not sliding the tires a couple corners when I got to them. I just used up what I had left at that point. Couldn't get enough back by the time the race ended.
It definitely was fun for us to watch, Scott. You run him down and get so close for opportunity to go for that lead. Did you ever think about possibly trying the top of 1 and 2? We've seen a few guys attempt it and make it somewhat work to get runs to get to the inside of 2 and 3, but did that ever go through your mind, or you just felt like the bottom was always the way to go?
For me, I was making so much speed on the bottom in 1 and 2 that I couldn't risk going up on top. I didn't think it'd work for me.
Well, it certainly was a close run there, Scott, and we hope for the best for next week at Talladega. And before we officially let you go, the floor is now yours for any shout-outs.
Everybody on the team and the dog.
That's going to be the 05 of Scott Rickard, second place for himself. Congratulations, Scott, and good luck next week.
Thank you.
Well, from second place, let's go down to third. See how Chris Worrell's feeling after tonight's run. Chris, what a run for yourself. Honestly, we're surprised on how you rebounded after the way your race started. How are you feeling coming away with the third place finish?
Yeah, that beginning sucked. That's for sure. Didn't put in any practice, and it shows. And just got loose those first 2 times, and then got hit by the 4 car there at the end. And I don't know, got a lucky caution and was able to work my way up there. But my tail off, I guess, trying to keep third there from Kyle. Kyle was so fast. Jason came out of nowhere. I don't know. I'm definitely happy with third for a change. Any other time I wouldn't be happy, but I'm surprised I finished tonight. So I'll take it.
Definitely a great job defending there, Chris. Man, I mean, take us through that. That had to be nerve-wracking holding all those guys back, because it seemed like you were a wall.
Yeah, it sucked. It really did. I mean, I did the best I could to just run my line and let them pass me. Obviously, I wasn't going to make it easier for them. If it was earlier in the race, and I was doing that bad or going that slow, I'd easily let them by. But, 20 laps, I'm already bleeding. I'm trying to just stop the bleed at that point. So I'm driving hard as I can. And that was probably the problem in the first place. I felt good, to keep up with Thomas. Like the second to last caution, that run I took it nice and easy and was feeling it. But then on that last restart, I just got greedy and did everything I could to just go fast, and the rear end just kept slipping out, and then I just kept sucking. So I'm really happy to have third. Sorry for holding you up there, Kyle and Jason and whoever else there at the end. I'm glad, thank God that was I was racing against good guys like that, because they could have easily punted me out the way. But it was awesome.
You did a great job with holding everyone else back, Chris. Congratulations on that. And before we officially let you go, the floor is now yours for any shout-outs.
First and foremost, my buddy James Lowe built the car for me as usual. I appreciate it, man. The Moonshine Mafia. I don't know where Brian is tonight. Hopefully he's all right. I'm sure he'll be back for Dega next week. That's one of his favorites. So just looking forward to next week. Shout out to George. He did a good job tonight. And thank you guys for putting on the broadcast.
Well, thanks for giving us a great show to cover there, Chris. Congratulations on third, and good luck next week at Talladega.
See you.
As that will be the sixth machine of Chris Whirl, and as well, big thanks to the other two drivers of Thomas Ogle and Scott Ricker for joining with us for our interviews as we take a look at our unofficial results here tonight for the Old School 200 at North Wilkesboro. Certainly had a lot of ups and downs. Probably one of the best races we've had so far this season for the Stars and Stripes with all the drivers. You never knew he was going to get into victory lane, but it came down to Thomas Ogle getting the win, holding back Scott Rickard. Speaking about holding back, that's exactly what Chris Whirl did, stopping the runs from Dylan Grimm, Jason Gratton, Kyle Bowling, June White, Joshua Robinson, Kyle McCoy, and Zach Price, finishing out your top 10. All those drivers were not able to advance by that sixth machine, and he did a great job holding them back for third.
He really did, man. As we look through the rest of that order there for tonight, is definitely a tough finish for Ross Tatum, who finishes in 11th, just outside that top 10. James Lowe, one of our winners earlier from the season, back in 17th. But just a night of, you got long green runs, but you also had those, random cautions that really changed up the strategy. And man, oh man, what a battle we had down to the end with Thomas Ogle getting his second victory here at North Wilkesboro over Scott Rickard.
It was a great run for the 11 machine, and if you'd like to see other great racing action that we cover here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting, it all starts Monday night. It's the ISRC Truck Series, as they're going to have the start of the round of 8 heading to the short track at Rockingham. Tuesday, we cover the Full Send Racing Series Xfinity car. They're going to Talladega. Get your Talladega preview for the week, as that's race number 13 of their regular season. Just 3 more after that. And then on Wednesday, the WSSR Roast Gems Cup Series, they're in the middle of their playoffs, and it's the cutoff race. We go from 10 drivers in the playoffs to our championship 6. That will continue on, and that race will be at Richmond on Wednesday in the Gen 4 cars. And then we're right back here next week, Talladega. 2 Talladega races in a week, Zach. Should be a good one on who's going to find themselves finishing in our top 5 finishes of the month.
Oh, yes, for sure. That place always seems to have the crazy finishes. I mean, of course, not only the crazy wrecks, but also the close finishes. And also got those playoffs for 2 of our leagues. It's just a good time to be tuning in, folks. So if you're out there, you enjoyed tonight's broadcast, make sure you tune in on the other 3 nights, because it's definitely starting to heat up over there also. It's right now that best time of the year, I feel like, for racing when you head to the playoffs.
Certainly is. Well, thank you so much to all those that did join with us on your Thursday night watching the Stars and Stripes Racing Series. Race 14 is in the books. Next week, it is all about who's making the playoffs. Talladega, drivers that are outside looking in. Almost everyone is in a must-win scenario to make the playoffs, and there's only one more spot to grab. You're going to have to watch it next week. But for us, can't wait for Monday. That's when we have our next broadcast, as it will be the start of the round of 8, Rockingham, ISRC Truck Series. We cannot wait for it. But for myself, Sam Dyer, for Zach Hall, Robert Moyer Jr., and everyone else here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, thank you for joining with us. We'll see you on Monday for the ISRC Truck Series. That will be our next Freaky Fast Broadcast.